Today we're going to be looking at the trends from Sunday's game. We're going to look at the running backs, see what they did on the field. We're going to look at the advanced analytics. We're going to look at the charts from the next gen stats over at NFL.com to look at the workload and see what these running backs are doing. Some of this is going to help you on waivers since it's early in the season though. More for trades, more for setting lineups, more for confirmation bias and everything else. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're talking about these players every day. And we're going to be talking about the waiver wire even more throughout the day, throughout tomorrow, and the next day, and doing player lists and doing deep dives on these players that are trending on the waiver wire. On top of that, we're going to use these videos to help you set your lineups. Click that button. Stop missing out. But a big story last night was the Kansas City Chiefs running backs, and Carson Steele led everybody in this matchup with 72 yards rushing, including Bijan Robinson. He got the workload. He had a few good runs up the gut, and he's good. Just grinding them tough yards. Getting a little bit yards after contact here and there, falling forward, 3rd and 1, he gets it. This is a running back that if the Chiefs are up, like they were in this game, but they're over by the goal line, there's a chance he can score a touchdown. And you're chasing the work right here. We got 17 carries, a couple targets, so about 19 opportunities in this matchup. That's very good for a running back. You're not going to expect them to score from everywhere on the field. You're also not going to expect them to take in like 5 to 10 targets in a game. You're expecting them to grind out some gritty yards, and you're going to hope that the game script goes the Chiefs' way, which it does in a lot of matchups, to where he gets opportunities around the goal line in the red zone to score. And that's what you're hoping for with Carson Steele. And the thing with Carson Steele, we have a one-game sample here. We know he's going to get a lot of workload up the gut. He's going to get those carries. He averaged 4.34 yards per carry on the ground. And the thing about this is it's whether or not he scores that touchdown, because he's not going to get a lot of targets, the buoy production. He'll get the carries to get you 50, 60, 70, 80 yards. But if he scores that touchdown, he's going to be one of the better performing running backs in fantasy football for that week. That being said, he's a coin flip every week now that he's in this position. Cam Akers, 9 carries, 21 yards. But the story was the game script here. As the Texans were playing from behind, they had to throw the ball. Akers got 3 targets in this matchup. Really did not go off. 9 carries, 21 yards is not great for fantasy football. Nobody was forecasting the Texans to get routed by the Vikings. I don't think anyone ever said that on the national media, fancy or whatever, including me. But the Texans got routed. They had to play from behind. It wasn't looking good. CJ Stroud had some turnovers. That being said, if Cam Akers is back next week and Mixon is out, you just hold on even if you don't want to start him, because the workload could be there and the Texans could be up. They could have that game script to where he's getting the work around the goal line. And that being said, you do not want a running back just sitting there on waivers getting a good opportunity share when the matchup's flowing the right way. It's against Jacksonville. We'll see more about Jacksonville tonight when they're playing against Buffalo. They're a faster-paced offense, so that could be a faster-paced game. Cam Akers, though, he's a guy that you're putting in your lineup when you're hurting, and that's only when you're hurting because he's Cam Akers. He's not a 100% reliable running back. Said this going in. But again, he's a running back that's getting touches, and sometimes you got to chase the touches. Bucky Irving is a big trend here, and he's eating into Rachaad White's workload. He needs rostered in all leagues. He's rostered in a lot of leagues, 44% of them, but he needs rostered in all leagues because there's a good chance that we get deeper into the season and this could be his job and he starts getting more workload. He's eating it by the game. He had that big run that was very impressive. Rachaad White, I believe on that drive, came in and got the touchdown, but it was the Bucky Irving show in this game. 9 carries, 70 yards, 3 targets, catching all 3 of them for 14 yards, and we're looking good on the field. We got good vision. We saw that coming out of Oregon. Saquon Barkley had that big touchdown run at the end of the game, hit over 20 miles per hour. I believe he's the fastest player recorded on Next Gen Stats. I think it was like 21.67 on the week for miles per hour. That was Saquon Barkley, so he's still got the speed, he's still got the juice, he can still produce. Yeah, he's got a lot of yards on the ground and also catching 4 balls in this game as well. And he's an RB1, he's electric, he's perfect for this matchup. And DeAndre Swift, the thing about him, he's getting work rates, but it's not leading to anything. Caleb Williams will not check it down. DeAndre Swift one of the top running backs going into this week in routes ran for a running back. He doesn't check it down. He's horrible in yards per carry. Back-to-back games in the ones in yards per carry, which is horrible. And he had 3 yards per carry in week 1. Not looking good for DeAndre Swift. The Bears' offense is going to be dicey and up and down. Throughout the season, you're working with a rookie quarterback. But Caleb Williams is not a check-down machine. He does whatever possible to push that ball downfield. DeAndre Swift looks like a guy a lot of people are going to be cutting soon, if not already. A lot of people are going to be cutting DeAndre Swift very soon. We're going to see that on ESPN as one of the most dropped players. I imagine it's going to be this week. Emanuel Wilson is a guy that needs stashed because something happens to Josh Jacobs. Emanuel Wilson's going to get a lot of the touches. He's going to get the workload, especially Marshall and Lloyd having that injury. And he's good between the tackles. He's very dependable. He can rumble in the open field a little bit. He's a guy that can slog out yards between those tackles. He's a hitter, and he's good and dependable. And the thing about that, that's good in an offense like this. Love's going to be back, and he's a guy just to have as a stash because whenever he's on the field, it's not super flashy, but he produces. Jordan Mason's Jordan Mason. He's this year's Puka Nacua. He gets the ball. He rolls with it. He's getting a lot of volume, and it does not matter how the matchup is rolling. He is going to get the work rate. You're starting him no matter what, and I think you already knew that for the rest of the season. Kyren Williams getting workload. That is the one thing I said going into this matchup. I can't promise you that he scores fantasy points due to him playing the Niners. He did last year when he played against the Niners, but I can promise you he's going to get a lot of the workload due to these wide receivers. 24 carries, 2 targets in this matchup, so you're looking at 26 opportunities in this game. 89 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, caught 2 balls for 27 yards. He's looking good. 3 total touchdowns in this game. The yards per carry popped up a little bit. It has not been looking good, but it's a lot of volume here. It's a lot of volume. Kyren Williams gets a lot of work, and he's going to get a lot of work. He is dependable. The coaching staff loves him, and they're going to ride him until the wheels fell off, and that's what they're saying right now because he's getting a lot of carries. They're not worrying about that. They're going to ride Kyren Williams until they can't anymore, and Derrick Henry came out today and played and did what we thought Derrick Henry was going to do all along and blew up against the Dallas Cowboys. It ended up being a good game script for Derrick Henry as the Ravens were up, so they were able to pound him up the gut a little bit. Got 2 touchdowns, got 1 target. Derrick Henry can rumble in this offense. We knew this, and now we got proof. Zack Charbonnet was in the perfect game script, and looking at this matchup going in with the bad quarterback play projected for the Dolphins, we knew this. We knew this. The Dolphins had to really surprise us for this not to happen, and we knew Zack Charbonnet was going to get the workload. So really, when you look at Seattle, when you project them to be in a game script like this, you need to roll with the running back, especially the RB1, whether it's Walker or Charbonnet, whoever's healthy there. These guys kind of take turns getting injured because that's what they did last year. And then if it's a shootout type matchup, instead of just going DK Metcalf, you can go Metcalf and one of the other wide receivers, Lockett or Jackson Smith-Njigba, because they're going to spread it around a little bit more because they've proven that against the Patriots last week. But the thing about the Zack Charbonnet is good between the tackles. He can be productive in fantasy. Had 4 targets. He's very good in the passing game. He improved on that when he was at UCLA, especially in that final season. He's a good, stout running back. Zamir White is trending on being a bust. He is a bust right now. And the thing is, this game script did not go the Raiders' way. So if it's a game script that does not go the Raiders' way and they're playing from behind, Zamir White's not getting the opportunities. Now ask yourself, how many game scripts are the Raiders going to have when they got a huge lead throughout most of the game and they can pound it out with Zamir White? How many games are they going to have that? Because it's not going to be many. It's not going to be many, and you're not going to know when's going to be the right game because it's going to surprise you. He might have his moment in the sun here and there this season, but Zamir White right now, his stock's so low. People so down on him. He's not really getting targeted. He got 4 targets last week against Baltimore. Again, a weird game script against Baltimore because Baltimore's going to put you in weird game scripts. But Zamir White, 10 carries, 34 yards. The game script's not going his way. Andy Dalton came out and pounded it through the air. But the thing is, the Raiders are not going to be up on a lot of teams this year. They're not going to be blowing out teams, so Zamir White's not going to get that work like that. So Zamir White for fantasy football, even though he might have a game here and there, you're going to be questioning it. Chuba Hubbard got the work, same game, and they got the game script. and you can score fantasy points on the Raiders. He did what he needed to do, produce against a Raiders team that allows fantasy points to running backs. Miles Sanders was pushing for touches in week 1. It was an even split almost. Actually, Miles Sanders won week 1 in the touches, but Chuba Hubbard in the last 2 weeks came out and took it from him, and Chuba Hubbard's been looking good. Look for him to get the touches going forward. But Andy Dalton makes me more excited for Jonathan Brooks. If you got him stashed, hold on tight. Devin Achane, I wanted to watch the workload here. But the thing about this matchup is the game script got so far out of hand that he did not get a ton of work here. He did get something. He got 5 targets, 3 catches for 28 yards and 11 carries. But he did not really go in that 25 to 30 opportunity range, which is good for him. He needed the load lightened up for the rest of the season. On top of that, you're playing behind this bad quarterback play. So really, you do not need to pound yourself out like that for the long term. For fantasy with Achane and the rest of these Dolphins, especially the wide receivers, it's going to be very sketchy going forward. Those are the trends from the running backs from Sunday, and we're looking at what they're doing on the field. We're looking at work rate. We're looking at the game script. We're going to be talking about more about the waiver wire here soon. Stay tuned for that. Make sure to click that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.